Hey guys, it's Katie. Thank you for checking out today's video. So, I am going to do the drugstore makeup tag that was created by Jen Phelps probably like a month ago already here on YouTube. I love her. Her videos are just she's so chill and just down to earth, and she always has the best new drugstore items or makeup items that she's giving us reviews and stuff on. So I am going to talk about my favorite products from the drugstore. And the first question is, if you could only use one drugstore or affordable brand, what would it be? And mine would definitely be CoverGirl. They were probably like the first makeup brand that I started using when I was in high school and into college, and I still use their products today. Their cheekers, blushes are my favorite. Their Clump Crusher mascara is probably my most repurchased makeup item out of everything I've ever bought. I always use this as a first coat mascara. They have good foundations, good lip products. I've used like their liquid liners before. They have a bronzer out that I am interested in right now. Ever since they've like rebranded a little bit, I think they've not rebranded, but kind of, is it rebranded or spruced up their brand? I think their formulas have gotten so much better over the years. And I'm not gonna lie, they're easy breezy beautiful. CoverGirl commercials with whatever celebrity was their partner at the time would definitely suck me in. And now I'm old enough to know, like, oh, those celebrities probably don't actually use those products when they're on like the red carpet and stuff. But a foundation right now I like is the CoverGirl in Olay Advanced Radiance foundation. So I just think if I had to stick to one brand, I think I could get away with CoverGirl and be really happy with them. I've used some of their little eyeshadow palettes, like I don't know if they're like 6 or 7 pan eyeshadow palettes. So I could definitely get away with CoverGirl. Next is the most underrated drugstore brand, and there's not a lot that I think are underrated. I think if there's a good product from the drugstore, it's pretty hyped up and people pretty much know about it. But I will say one I don't hear about a lot is L'Oreal. And there's so many products. Once I was going through my collection looking for the different products from these brands and stuff, I found that I had so much more L'Oreal that I love that are staples than I even thought. And the one thing that L'Oreal has is my favorite foundation of all time, and definitely my most repurchased foundation, which is this one is like, oh, crusty looking. It had a sticker over it. It's the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Cushion Foundation. Now this is no longer in stores, but I do find it online. This is probably like my 4th one of these, and I'm almost done with this one. I have probably 3 more as backups because I have them in different shades, because it is a foundation that works for me in all months of the year. I live in the Midwest. We get all seasons. We get extreme hot, extreme cold, everything in between, and this just has the perfect coverage, the perfect natural sheen, and it's buildable. It looks great under any or over any primer I've used. Another thing L'Oreal has is their Lumi Glotion. This is a great illuminating like primer or even liquid highlighter to go on your cheekbones. Their new Age Perfect line, I know it's kind of marketed for mature skin, but I have kind of dry, normal to dry skin, so these products are a lot more moisturizing. So I love their foundation in this line. Their concealer in this line is really great if you have kind of drier under eyes, which I do. They have some of my favorite lip products from the drugstore, the Infallible paints. And their little single potted infallible eyeshadows are really great as well. And their Infallible Pro Matte lips are some of my favorite. They're kind of like a moussey texture, so they're not as drying as a liquid lip, but they kind of give the matte finish look that a liquid lip does. So that's one of my absolute favorite drugstore lip formulas, and I have multiple colors in this. And they have my, where is it? My other favorite and most repurchased mascara, which is the L'Oreal Voluminous. I've used this one, the carbon black one. This is my favorite mascara to put over the CoverGirl Clump Crusher to really thicken and make my lashes look kind of dramatic. So L'Oreal, I have to say, is not so much underrated, but not really talked about very much. They don't have like hyped up new releases often, but I find that when they do something, they do it pretty well. Oh, and sorry, something I forgot to mention about L'Oreal is their little quads. I know this is kind of an old packaging, but this is a little quad called Perfume ID, and it has my favorite shades of like lavender purple in it that I think this is like my perfect shade of purple for my brown eyes and for my liking. So, and it's a really good formula. So underrated, underhyped. Most overrated brand, like I said, I don't know that there's much in the drugstore that's overrated, because if it is hyped up, it's like I said, it's pretty much worth it. But I will say Pixi. I know Pixi kind of lately has been more focused on the skincare side of things, but their prices are so extreme. I mean, their products are in the mid 20s, a lot of them. The only thing I currently have from them is their Correction Concentrate and Brightening Peach. So it's just like a under eye corrector. And it's not my favorite. It's a little bit drying on me. I like the Becca one better, but Becca's not drugstore. However, it's not that much more expensive. I just feel like Pixi it's overpriced to market as a drugstore brand, and for me, I don't know, I don't gravitate towards it then. And when I'm looking for skincare, I am mostly looking at brands that specialize in skincare. They're not trying to do the skincare, the hair care, the makeup. Like, skincare is their thing, and that's what they stick with. Kind of like The Ordinary or CeraVe products, you know, things like that. My favorite drugstore product under $5. There's quite a few, and I know a lot of people are mentioning the e.l.f. bite-sized eyeshadow quads, and I do have one of those. But the thing I have repurchased and that I plan to continue to repurchase is the Essence Make Me Brow. So this is a brow gel with little fibers in it. I have the shade, I think it's Brownie Brows. Yes. And they only had like 2 or 3 shades when I purchased this, but I noticed that they do have 5 or 6 different shades now. And this is, I think, $2.99, and it is as good as brow gel as I've ever tried. I've tried the Benefit brow products, which are good, but that's a more high-end brand, and this, I have no reason to search for a luxury brow gel when I have this for $2.99. Hidden gem from the drugstore that nobody talks about. I was gonna say my CoverGirl Clump Crusher, just because I feel like, I don't know, we're in a world where like whatever is newest is best, and for me, I can't see this ever not being a staple in my collection, because it's just so good at separating your lashes and just really defining each individual lash. But I also want to say 2 products from e.l.f., which are the e.l.f., this doesn't even have a name on it, but it's basically their eye makeup remover pen. So you can do the same thing with, I have here like a Q-tip and dip it in micellar water and, you know, clean up your eyes. But for like, what is this, like $2 or $3, it's a little pen, and mine's all janky looking because I use it, that has makeup remover product in it. So for me, I use this either to clean up around my eyes or around my lip line, or it is really great if you get mascara on your lids or under your eyes down here when you're applying it, and you're too impatient like me and you don't want to wait for it to dry so you can flake it off, that you just like touch this. It somehow is able to like remove your mistakes without removing the product underneath them. There are times though that, like, if I really mess up on my mascara and I'm wiping it off my eye and I have eyeshadow down, I will just touch up the eyeshadow really quick. But this is probably the third one of these I've had. And then also the e.l.f. Shadow Lock Eyelid Primer. So I have dry skin, but my eyeshadow will crease if I don't use a primer. So I love the Urban Decay Primer Potion. However, this I think is like $3 as well. I don't know if it works. I don't know if it's going to make your eye makeup last like, I don't know, 12 hours or more like the Urban Decay one does for me. But I'm a teacher and this will definitely make my eyeshadow last and not crease through an 8 to 10 hour workday. So yeah, I think this is an underrated eye primer. My favorite drugstore foundation I dropped on the floor, I already talked about, the L'Oreal Lumi Cushion. Like I said, it's no longer sold in the drugstore. The cushion foundations kind of had their 15 minutes and came and went. And this one though, I've used the regular L'Oreal Lumi in like the pump. For some reason, I like this just a little bit better, and I don't know, maybe it's the same freaking formula. I don't know, but something about just like dipping your brush or your sponge. Oh, another thing I didn't mention about L'Oreal was they have a really good face sponge. Is that what you call it? Beauty sponge, face sponge, complexion sponge. But you get this wet, dip it right in there, and just stamping it on your face. There's just something about it that it's so good. It's so good. Products I tend to buy at the drugstore versus high-end, and that would definitely be mascaras. Like I said, I mentioned the Clump Crusher, the L'Oreal Voluminous line, and the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. I've never actually purchased. I have a couple high-end mascaras. I have the Milk Makeup Kush Mascara. I have a Bare Minerals one, but I've only ever gotten these with point perks or free gift with purchases at Sephora. I've never spent money on a high-end mascara because frankly I like the looks I can get with the drugstore mascaras, so I don't really have a desire to pay like 20 some bucks for a mascara. Blushes are another thing. Like I mentioned, I have the CoverGirl Cheekers blushes, which I feel like nobody talks about because they're not in like the most conducive packaging for a blush, because they're in this rectangular compact where you kind of picture blush compacts to be circular. But I love the CoverGirl Cheekers blushes, the Milani Baked blushes, J Pink. I love the Essence Satin Touch blushes. These are another item that are like $2.99 or something. So again, I would say blushes I purchased at the drugstore. Oh, and brushes. I think I have one Sigma brush, their flat top Kabuki foundation brush, but I think every other brush I've bought is drugstore. I love like Real Techniques brushes. I use this for under eye powder. I use another one like this for highlight. This is a great all over shadow brush. I use their Cheek Pop for blush. So I think I have Wet n Wild brushes. I have brushes from Amazon. I have Morphe brushes. Brushes are something I have e.l.f. brushes. I feel like you can get such good quality at the drugstore nowadays as well. Drugstore Brand, do you think is overpriced? I kind of touched on this with Pixie, but something else I thought of, and I think quite a few other people said the same thing, is definitely Physicians Formula. I have their iconic butter bronzer right here. I actually got this. I think it was one of the lightning deals on like Cyber Monday on Amazon, so I got it for around like $6 or $7. But I know when it's like $13 to $16 at the drugstore to get it. And also Physicians Formula, like, they have a few things in their line that are hyped up, like the butter bronzer, but I feel like nothing else in their line is hyped up enough where like people are wanting to pay $15 to $16 for, you know, something that's at the drugstore. I don't know, but that's my opinion. Favorite drugstore dupe. There are so many. There are so many drugstore dupes that I love. I've heard the Milani Keep It Full lip glosses are very similar to the Urban Decay Hi-Fi Shine lip glosses, which I did. I used up like a mini of the Urban Decay ones, and I will say they feel the same on your lips. Same kind of texture, same kind of pigment. But I think my favorite one of all is the Flower Beauty lipstick in Spiced Petal. This is a dupe, like straight on dupe for Charlotte Tilbury's iconic Pillow Talk. So this is what, Spiced Petal, I said. And I actually have used Pillow Talk. I have it in my collection. Pillow Talk, yeah, I have a mini baby of Pillow Talk. I mean, they're very similar if you look at them. The only difference is actual Pillow Talk is in a matte formula, where the Flower Beauty one is more of a cream formula. But it's not like a super shiny, slippery formula. It's just more creamy on the lips, where the Charlotte one is a little more matte looking. But yeah, as iconic as Pillow Talk and that whole line is, the Flower Beauty Spiced Petal lipstick is a straight up dupe. Best drugstore eyeshadow formula. Again, there are so many. e.l.f. is killing it in the eyeshadow game right now. Obviously, so many people went straight to ColourPop, which I have, I think, 3 ColourPop palettes. Really good. Obviously really good. That's like the most hyped up affordable brand. But I wanted to mention BH Cosmetics. This is the Love in London palette. And I think this palette was about 15 bucks, but you get 16 shadows, and they are such good quality. There's so much pigment, but there's not so much that there's tons of fallout. Their mattes are very soft and creamy and pigmented, easy to blend. They do it so well. I mean, look at these. These are all just one simple swipe. So, you can't purchase it at like your grocery store or CVS or something like that, but they are at Ulta or on BH Cosmetics website. Worst drugstore eyeshadow formula. Now, this I need to say with a huge caveat. This is kind of an older collection from Maybelline, because I have a new palette from them that I'm going to mention later on in this video that I think is amazing. But remember when these nudes palettes came out from Maybelline? I had the regular nudes that were kind of like your neutral nudes, your copper, your like bronzes and silvers and neutral browns and stuff. But I ended up passing that on, and I still currently have the blushed nudes. And I have it because some of these, like this shadow right here, I love. Love it, love it, love it. It's like a perfect mid-tone pink. But other eyeshadows in here have like hardly any pigment to them. Like this matte one right here is just kind of like hard, and not a lot of product gets on your brush or your finger, and which makes it a little bit harder to blend. So these were a big hit and miss. But like I said, that's an older formula. Their new formulas, their new formula of eyeshadows, I think is top notch. A drugstore brand you used to love but are not crazy about anymore, and that would be NYX. I have a couple primers from NYX. I remember when NYX, they were everything. They had everything all the time. I still have quite a few of their butter glosses, which they still do very well. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And a couple of their primers. This is their Hydra Touch primer, so it's just a very cooling, like gel-like moisturizing primer. I love their Angel Veil primer. It just gives you a very smoothed out look. I remember when their concealers were everything, but I don't know if any of their newer launches have really sparked a lot of attention or hype or anything like that. So in a drugstore product you didn't expect to like but you totally loved, and this actually, I don't know if this is a weird product to say for this, but this is the CoverGirl Undercover Concealer. People were comparing this to, you know, the iconic Tarte Shape Tape, except people's complaint about the Shape Tape is that it's a little bit drying, but it does have one of those bigger doe foot applicators. But I used this the other day and was shocked at how much it covered any darkness I had under my eyes, and it did not feel drying. Now I will say I have spent like all of 2020 focusing on moisturizing my under eyes. Like I moisturize those things multiple times a day when I'm not wearing makeup, which is every single day. I've gotten a lot better, and they can tolerate concealers a lot better than they did last year when I was going through chemo, when I had like super dark circles under my eyes. To using the Maybelline Fit Me concealers, and I like them because they don't crease. You know, if you set them okay, they don't accentuate any dryness or cause any crepiness. So I was pleasantly surprised when I wore this, and it covered so much more than the Fit Me does if you have something to cover. Super moisturizing and dewy, but it's not drying at all. It's just kind of like a normal in-between formula. So I was pleasantly surprised by this, and am excited to use that when I use up some of my older concealers. And then the last question, favorite affordable eyeshadow palette right now. So this is where I'm mentioning the Maybelline Nudes of New York eyeshadow palette. I almost put this in a hidden gem of the drugstore, because with the new hype around the Natasha Denona bronze palette, I'm like, guys, you can get the same exact looks with this, if not more of a variety. But everything in this palette is done so well, from the mattes to the shimmers to the undertones, the coppers, the bronzes. I think it's like around $14 or $15, but you get what, 16 shades if I did that correctly. And I'm waiting for somebody who has the bronze palette and this palette to do like a comparison or swatch video or something. So this is my current favorite palette. I have a lot of drugstore palettes that I've been using. The last few times I've done makeup, I've used the e.l.f. Earth and Ocean palette, but this one I've reached for more than that, so I've got to go with the Nudes of New York. All 14 questions. Now I'm sweating and I have makeup all over the floor. So I'm going to clean that up, wash this off, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.